There are about 1,500 to 3,000 deaths each year that are attributed to contaminated blood, primarily from hepatitis. However, blood will also carry such diseases as venereal disease and others.
Be humanly impossible, Malcolm. It'd take many millions of dollars to carry out this court order, and it'll take a bond election, and I doubt very seriously if the people of Dallas County are going to build a country club. We've been working on this thing before we knew that Marcus Ranger and Ms. Hughes was going to attempt to take over the operation of county government.
Say that we're not going to be able to comply with this court order by in 6 months?
There is so much to talk about here at A&M, but I'll simply begin by asking new head coach Emery Billard how he has made the transition from Horn to Aggie.
I haven't noticed any big problem in making that transition whatsoever, and there's no question I was on the other side of the fence as a player and as a coach, and it's always been a pretty competitive aspect of the game to me. It's still a competitive aspect, but like you say, I'm on the other side of the fence now, and 100% Aggie.
I suppose you had to admire the Aggies from afar anyway, did you not, knowing the kind of spirit they had here and the effort?
I think everybody's got a great respect for the spirit that belongs to Texas A&M.
Billard helped devise the wishbone for Texas back in the summer of '68. The Aggie version of '72 will feature the James Gang, operator Lex at quarterback, the halfback combination of Green Bean, and fullback Brad Dusick.
With the wishbone, the quarterback really gets involved totally with the game, you know. And anytime you get this involved with something, you're going to perform, I hope, to your ultimate, and that's just what I want to do.
Do you feel it suits your talents as a football player more than past offenses here at A&M?
I've been told that it has, and I hope that it has. I think I have the running ability and the passing ability. And
what does a fullback do in the Emery Billard offense, Brad?
Mostly my main job is most on every play I'm hitting up in the line, and I'm either faking or carrying the ball, and if I'm faking, hopefully attracting tacklers to me so that they won't have that many more outside when we run outside with the ball. And it's been I really like fullback. It's different from safety, I'm sure, you know, but it's been good to me. I really like it.
Bubba, had you any idea when you graduated from high school you'd be a starting halfback for the Aggies your first year?
Not on the varsity. I thought maybe I could probably start on the freshman team, but I had no ideas about the varsity.
What are some of the, shall we say, difficulties, the adjustments you've had to make? They say that, it's a big jump from high school to college, in classes as well as football.
Yes, it is. It's quite a bit of adjustment, and you have to not only be a running back in college, you have to be a blocking back and a pass receiver all at the same time.
Have you adjusted well to your role as a halfback in the option?
Yes, sir. I've still got quite a bit to learn, but as far as progress, I feel like I've made quite a bit, and of course in the right direction. And I used to didn't have the blocking that I have to do now, but I'm coming along real good with that. I'm getting my block. There's different kind of blocks we have to execute, on different plays, and I'm getting those down pretty well, and I feel real good about it.
Kuhn is an area Aggie, having graduated from Grand Prairie High School. He's the starting center for the Texas A&M team for '72. I asked Skip to represent the squad and express their thoughts on the new coaching staff.
We're all excited about Coach Blart and his coaching staff. We have a perfectly new attitude about it. We know that we can win with these coaches, and the coaches know they can win with us. And we're just really excited about this season.
And finally, that unknown ingredient that is always there, the spirit of Aggieland. Offensive tackle Ralph Sacra.
I tell you, you can't, you don't know what the Corps can do for you until you've experienced it. I think, like the other night we had a yell practice over in G. Wiley White Coliseum, and just being there, I mean, I was ready to get out and play right then. Let's see, it was last night.
From Kyle Field at College Station, this is Jerry Haynes for Channel 8 Sports.
I wouldn't say that I would like to eliminate some of them. I'm not against all of these programs by any means. I am for, definitely, the basic elements of the OEO, Office of Economic Opportunity. But let's funnel these funds into the channels where the people who need it
I think they have an excellent chance. There's a reform movement in Texas due to the bank scandals and things like that. And all the American Party candidates, of course, would like to see things cleaned up. I think they can run on their own merits. And we've got an excellent platform.
Zeter still lacks the stamp of City Attorney Alex Bickley's approval of the plan, and he says he has some minor adjustments to make in district lines. Other than that, he's pleased with the major revision not only of council district lines, but of the method by which councilmen are elected. Zeter's plan provides for 5 council districts in Dallas. One member would run in his district only, giving single-member representation, and another member would run from that district but be elected by all Dallas voters, giving at-large representation. Zeter says the method gives the best of single-member and at-large election. It also provides that District 1, which slashes across the center of the city, would be about 90% black, with proportionate black representation in other districts as well. Zeter says he's discussed the method with some other councilmen, and they're pleased with the proposal. He hopes to get legal approval from the city attorney later today. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News, on the move.
There are primarily 2 ways we foresee. One is during the development process not to cover over the streams and the natural areas and so forth, and we hope to be able to help them with this. But then the other way we believe is in the matter of a cooperative effort with the several communities and the counties working together. And I believe that Tarrant County provides a very good example of this with their Tarrant County Park System Study Committee, which is aiming just at that very objective. There is one picture that certainly should never have gotten by from the school officials through the publishers. Aside from that, our basic objection comes in the satirical or editorial comments, where they actually slap away at such things as the Honor Society, the sports program, well, just you name it, just about nearly every organization on the campus took a cut at one point in the book, that type of thing.
The IRS is trying to close that loophole that allows a man to write off the losses from one business against another. Among those people would be the so-called gentleman farmer, or the man who has the sideline ranching or farming operation. We talked to one such man in Dallas County. He is attorney Earl Luna, and he also raises cattle as a sideline. Mr. Luna, quite frankly, do you come under the IRS definition of a gentleman farmer?
Oh, absolutely not, Jim. I've been in the cattle business for quite a number of years, almost 20 years now. I do, of course, participate in other investment type opportunities, as well as a professional field. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think we need the hobby farmer. You, for instance, if your hobby is making model airplanes, you can't write that off. And if a person is simply in the cattle business or the horse raising business as a hobby, I don't see any reason why you ought to be able to write it off.
So I suppose all farmers and ranchers try to be gentlemen, but not necessarily all farmers and ranchers are gentleman farmers, and it's up to the Internal Revenue Service to determine the difference. At the Luna Farm in northeast Dallas County, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Perhaps the most controversial of the new things on the TCU campus is the option of taking grades in the traditional ABC form or in a simple pass or fail configuration. Opinion on campus varies considerably regarding the merits of the pass-fail concept.
I'm against pass-fail overall because it doesn't help your overall GPA, but for some courses it'd be all right, I think, but not for every course at school.
I wouldn't use it for my major, and because if I got a D, like if you know, I wouldn't be able to get credit for the class, and it would be passing otherwise.
I don't think that people should be able or should be in competition for A or B or something. I think it should be all the same.
The option is available in elective subjects for sure. Department heads have 2 weeks from today to decide whether pass-fail will also apply to courses in a student's major field. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
Our part-time personnel, for the most part, were teachers who had full-time jobs in the school district. They worked in our tutorial program. They worked in our adult centers in the evenings. They are not out of a job.
Is this going to cost the school system more money now that we haven't received those federal funds?
No, it will not. We made plans last year to continue human relations training for our teachers, whether we received funds from the federal government or not. And those plans are going forth.
Well, I see a much more stable institution here, a much more stable agency.
In Fort Worth, you mean?
Yes, in Fort Worth. I see, perhaps while not having reached the peak at which we'd like it, certainly much better communication among the community people, communication with public officials, which I don't think has yet reached the level at which the agency can function effectively and without outside influences, but it's certainly much more stable than Dallas at this point.
He informed us that the state board legally could not abolish us, but he did assure us that there are 2 local routes that we could go that would require elections at Wilmer Hutchin. Then there's one route that we might elect to go, and that would be to take the district to a federal court, either Judge Taylor in Dallas or Judge William Wayne Justice in the Tyler district.
Walking into the Razorback training camp is like walking into the Dallas Cowboy camp. There is excellence at every position, and there is confidence. Coach Frank Broyles talks about the plus factors.
Well, our pluses begin with our senior leadership, Jerry. We got a group of seniors who have worked hard to earn the position that they now have before the season starts, which is a credit to them. And they have worked to try to leave no stone unturned that they can have a part in to make these young underclassmen that have never been a part of a team like this understand what it takes.
Joe Ferguson, their would-be Heisman Trophy winner. Joe and the rest of the players are loose, and they are ready for the season to begin.
Starting out during the summer, I started working hard running early in the summer, and I think I'm in better shape now than I was last year.
Your arm in good shape too?
Right. I laid off a little more this summer as far as throwing was, and started throwing a lot about the middle of the summer, and so my arm's in good shape, and it's feeling strong right now, but these 2-a-day practices are getting a little tired.
How many different types of balls does Ferguson throw?
Well, basically there's just one, that's the speed ball, so I'd have to say that more than anything. The only ball that he has to let up on at times is the deep ball, and that's because he has to put a lot of arch on it when he's throwing it deep.
Talk about Ferguson as a passer. What kind of confidence do you have in him?
Well, we've been working since we were freshmen, and naturally the more you work together, the more confidence you have in each other. And this goes without saying. Joe and I have worked enough together during the season and the off season to know just about what the other's thinking at about the same time.
Naturally, you have to concentrate on every play and do your best, but is there a certain type of pattern when you hear the play called in the huddle? Do you say, hot dog, this is it? What would you rather run?
Well, you know, I'm not particular. If they throw the ball to me, that's fine. Any particular route, I would have to say that your adrenaline flows a little bit more on the deep pass if you know it's coming your way.
John, would you talk about the attitude on the squad this year? Everybody seems a little looser and a little more sure of themselves.
Yes, I think this is our biggest asset going into the season is our attitudes. It's so much better than it's been in the past. We've played together long enough, and we have confidence in ourselves, and we got a lot of depth, and our attitudes, just shows this when we're practicing and everything. And we talk to each other about the season. We're more serious about it than we've been in the past. So this is probably the biggest things that we have going into the season is the good attitudes by all of the players.
We've got a tremendous group of young men who are good students and good Christian young athletes. It's been most encouraging to me, and nothing would please me any more than for them to have a great year and to have a chance to play in a big bowl game. I think we've become attached to these youngsters maybe more now than we used to. We just see so many great ones. But this team wanted so desperately, and they've worked hard, that we coaches are going to pull for them and work every way we can to help them.
We'll soon see just how strong this 72 version of the Razorback will be. And after visiting with the players and Coach Frank Broyles, my guess is it will be a strong one. For Channel 8 Sports, this is Jerry Haynes from Razorback Stadium in the hills at Fayetteville.
The people who operate this ranch and raise these cattle are probably in it as their primary business and hopefully for a profit. But there are those businessmen who are in the ranching business as gentlemen farmers, and they're not in it for a profit. They write off the losses on the farm against their basic earnings and thus get out of paying most or all of their income taxes. Well, the Internal Revenue Service is now ready to close that loophole. They're saying that he has to show a profit in at least 2 of 5 consecutive tax years. We ask an Internal Revenue Service agent, Mr. Jerry Stedham, what happens when the man turns in consecutively losing years.
Well, this would be looked at very closely under the new law.
Or he has to show intent to make a profit?
Yes, sir. And this is an actual intent rather than just his verbal intent. This is an objective test.
Then no longer are you taking his word for it on his tax return?
Well, his word would mean something, but still he would have to back it up.
Tomorrow we'll talk to a businessman in Dallas who raises cattle as a sideline. He says he's no gentleman farmer. He's in it for profit. At a ranch somewhere in Dallas County, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Excuses, excuses, excuses. Reasons for wanting another class, reasons for changing a schedule.
reasons even for wanting to register late. Mike Dunn is the director of registration here at SMU and a veteran of several of these paper wars. He said, however, he felt that his first semester brought the wildest excuses.
Well, as well as I can remember, Jerry, we had, in a 2-day period, we had 64 grandparents die. We had 18 students that had to catch airplanes between the day of registration and the first day of classes, which was the very next day. We had one young lady show up and wanting to register for her husband, the problem being that she was 9 months pregnant, her baby was due that day, and she stated that her husband was too nervous and she wouldn't dare turn him loose in this Coliseum by himself.
Well, it hasn't been that bad since then, except for one student who couldn't remember who he told his last excuse to. Mike Dunn remembered, though. According to this student, the same grandparent died 3 straight semesters in a row. Jerry Park, Channel 8 News, on the move, the registration line at SMU.
Underworld figure Stanley Lee Cook, alleged head of the Dixie Mafia, was murdered gangland style early this morning. Cook, nicknamed the Creeper, was gunned down before dawn as he and 2 companions walked out of the Lemon Twist nightclub in North Dallas. Investigating officers said a high-caliber pistol blast hit Cook in the right side, pierced both of his lungs, and then bounced off a beauty shop window. Usually well-armed, Cook wasn't carrying a gun and died minutes later. His assailants escaped, unidentified and unpursued. Dallas police say there's no doubt that the murder was an underworld ambush, and that countless gangsters are under suspicion. The 30-year-old Cook reputedly took over the Southern State Gang after Dixie Mafia leader Kirksey Nix McCord was convicted last year in Louisiana. Only last week, civil suits were brought against Cook and 6 others, along with former state insurance commissioner John Osorio, all accused of conspiring to gain control of a Dallas corporation by force. Martha McIntyre, Channel 8 News on the Move.